Hey, good morning, everyone. So what am I working on today? I have my own vehicle. It's an '04 Toyota Sienna. And the power sliding doors don't work. The cable's broke, basically. I have never, ever had the doors apart on one of these before, the sliding doors. So I'm in for a treat. I have no idea what's involved. So I'm going to take it apart to see exactly what happened. I've done some research on it, and I'm pretty sure I know what happened when the cables broke. And it's obvious the cable's broke. Let me show you. Oh. Here it is. This is my Sienna van. And I slide the door closed, but when you have this hanging out in the back, I'm pretty sure the cable broke. So from what I understand, I got to take this trim piece out because there's like a spring-loaded plunger in here. And then I got to take the door panel off, obviously, to get to everything I need. And like I said, I've never done one of these, and there's a procedure for winding the cable around the motor, and it's kind of a weird setup. So I'm going to start doing things on this. I'm not going to walk you through, the actual removal and everything. I'm going to point out what I need to take apart and go from there. Basically once I get it apart, then we'll go from there. Now the seats, you got to take the center row seats out. That's one of them. And I got to say, Toyota, you could learn a lot from Chrysler because you did not make that easy to remove. The Dodge Caravans, Chrysler Town and Countries, Plymouth Voyagers, before the Stow and Go. I know the Plymouth stopped, but before the Stow and Go, super simple to remove. These things, especially if they don't move to the exact position you need them to remove them, they're a pain. They're heavy too. Wow, are they heavy. So, but anyway, so I got that out. The actual very rear seat, that is a Stow and Go style seat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking pieces apart, and I'm going to start with this. So this panel has to come off. There's two screws here. The actual door panel, there's a screw underneath at the back. So basically I got to climb inside, close the door to take that screw out. Then the panel has push clips that hold it this way. And just like a regular front door panel, you pop the clips, and then you have to lift the panel upward to release the upper piece here. Now these are power windows also, so I'm not quite sure what I have to do there, but I'm following instructions through like all data and stuff like that. And also I did find somebody online that does these things, and he has a pretty detailed way of doing it. So I will let you know who that is as we go further on in this. But anyway, so let's get this going and let me see what I can do. So I'm going to start with taking this off. Oh, and then I got to take this off back here. And this trim piece here, I guess it just pops in place from everything I've seen. I just got to get in there with a tool to, actually release it. And then I can also tuck this gasket back in place where it's supposed to be, maybe glue it back in place, make it look neat. So let's get going with this. All right, so I got this trim panel off here. One piece to note, this opening here is where this lock switch is here. And basically you have to have it in that position, which I believe is the lock position. So if you have it in that position there, this area is actually tucked underneath this area. See, it's got an opening there. So if you try to take this panel off with that in that position, you could break this. So you got to move that over into that position and the piece comes right off. And also I unbolted the window switch from it because I may need to roll the window up and down. Side note, whenever you're tightening up screws that go into plastic, like that's going to screw into the plastic here, don't use a gun to tighten it up, because I see people use guns and then they go and they tighten the snot out of it, and then you strip the plastic out. If you're going to use a gun, at least bring it down, or if it has a clutch on it, set it to the lowest setting possible, but bring it down and then do the rest by hand, and then all you can do is snug, tight, you're done. You don't have to go nuts. It's not like you're holding the head gasket in place. So, all right, let's continue and keep going with this. All right, so for that screw underneath there, I'm going to have to get an 8mm 1/4" drive or a very stubby Phillips, because I can't get in there to get that out with a regular screwdriver. So let me go do that. All right, so I got that screw out. I want to show you this. This little screwdriver here, I got this years ago. It's got a one-way clutch in it, a sprag. It can only rotate one way. Now the nice thing about this is you take it apart and you could use this by itself. Now if you want to go the other way, you just insert it on the other side. And you can see the little rollers in there. Now obviously this thing is actually pretty strong. You know, you don't want to go nuts with it, but this works really great in body applications where you have tight fits and stuff like that. And like I said, you can go either side with this and the sprag will lock it one way. So it works perfectly for situations like this. So here, let me just do this one-handed. So there you see, it'll lock one way, but not the other. And then, like I said, you just take it, flip it to the other side. Now this kit comes with a flathead also, in case you need it. I've honestly never needed it. I've used a flathead just by itself occasionally, on very rare occasions. But I tell you what, this tool, worth its weight in gold. I don't know where I got it from. I probably got it from a tool guy, but I don't recall because I've had it so darn long. I guarantee you could probably find it on Amazon or any of the tool sites. But it's a pretty handy little piece to have. So I got that screw out. Now I'm going to pop the clips and just lift the panel up. No big deal. It should be relatively easy. All right, to get the trim panel out, I just realized there's a piece here that you got to take this piece out. Got to get that push button out. I didn't see that in the other thing I was looking at to try to figure this out. But okay, no big deal. So got to lower the window, get that pin out. This piece will come out, then the door panel will come out. So now I got that piece out, so that comes out. So now the door panel, once I make sure all the clips are released, it should pop straight up. So there it is, the panel's off, and as you can see, that just blew apart. So the whole cable and everything else blew apart. So apparently you got to take this out, you got to take the glass out. There's a lot involved in doing this because you got to route the cables inside. If you look over here too, here's a part of the cable still attached here. So I got to look to see. I'm not quite sure how that works, but I will figure it out as I go along. And I'm assuming the cables, yeah, see, that's actually the winch part there for the cables, or pulley system, I should say. That's why you got to take the glass out, because you got to get to that. And then it routes out through here. Kind of a stupid setup, to be honest with you. Chrysler had a much better design than this. This is ridiculous. This is almost in line with the Pontiac Montana design, that was beyond stupid too. So, all right, let me get going. All right, so I just noticed something which is really weird. See this assembly here? This goes down and into the latch here. So when you open up the door, it's supposed to latch in place. And guess what? It's not latching in place. And I'm like, why the heck is the door not latching in place? Well, the window's down, right? Okay, figure no big deal. So here we go. I'm going to roll the window up. Now it releases that latch. There, see it? There it engages it. There it releases it. So now with it released, now with it released, you close the door, now you open it, now it latches. What's the point of that? What difference does it make if the window's down? The window's down, you won't allow it to latch open? Why? That's the dumbest shit I've ever seen, pardon my French. That's just stupid. I mean, I've never tried opening a door with the window down before, but I don't know. It's whatever. I don't know. The more I work on this thing, the less I like it. I'd much rather have my Dodge Caravan. Much nicer vehicle, if you ask me. All right, well, let's keep going. All right, so I got the rear trim piece out right there. And now this piece just pries upward. Just get a little tool in there and just pop that up. And that'll come out. What I noticed when I pulled this off, check this out. So remember I said I was going to try to glue that seal back in place? Well, that ain't happening. Because check this out. This seal went from there. This notch is supposed to be there. It's supposed to go to the end there. It shrunk that bad. Look how bad that shrunk. That's quite a bit. I mean, that's I don't know, it's what, 21 millimeters it shrunk. I mean, that's terrible if you ask me. Okay, Toyota quality right there. All right, on to the next thing. All right, so the next step now is I have to take this assembly out. This is the window module basically and the latch module. So I'm going to take this out. Basically it's a bunch of bolts on top. I got to undo the cables for this and get the handle out. Now this also, like I said, it's also for the window. The window's got a 10 millimeter down there and a 10 millimeter down there going through a plastic clip that's glued to the glass. So what I'm going to wind up doing is, once this comes out a little bit, I'm going to take it out, drop it down. Once I do, I can actually get to those two 10s at the top. So I'm going to do all of that, and then I can work on getting the glass out. The other thing too is I got to take these trim pieces off. So I may start doing that first. Just get these screws out to get these trim pieces off, because I do got to get the seal out for the glass. So once I get all of that done, then the glass has to come out. All right, so I got the moldings off first. I decided to do that. And the rear molding here, it's got little clips there, and I got to be careful to get them out. See, I started to tear the plastic there, but I could fix it. That's not a problem. There's one screw that comes in from the back side. Get that out, and basically I lifted it up to get it out after I started to tear that a little bit. So now I got to try to get those clips out without destroying them. So hopefully I could do that. The bottom molding here, whenever you're taking these off, try to roll them. That's the easiest way to get them to unlatch, because they lock in place. This edge locks in place. I'm sorry. This edge actually locks in place underneath and grabs the metal, because there's like little specific tabs that's basically built into the metal that hold it in place. But when you roll it, you kind of unlock it. So you do all of that. And then this front one here was the same thing. I undid the one screw on the back side, and then I was able to lift it up and get it off of there. It's got double-sided tape at the top. This one had double-sided tape on the edge here, and at the top it already dried up. So, okay, let me work on getting the window module piece out here. One thing too, which I realized, because I was going to take this whole thing off, there's a wiring harness that comes through here. This is actually a pinch sensor. There's actually wiring inside here to, I guess, tell the system when the door is fully closed, or in case something is in there and pinches against it, it makes the door open. I have no idea exactly how it works. So, but I guess we're going to find out. All right, let me keep going. All right, so I got that unbolted. Not terrible. It's got these little pins here. You can see that. They go through these holes. And what a pain in the neck, because those things keep hanging up. But anyway, as you see, the window came down, and there I got those two 10 millimeters I was telling you about. Got to get those out, and then the glass will come off the regulator, and that whole assembly will come out. I got to go get some tape or something to hold the glass up. So I got the regulator out, that whole assembly there. Like I said, I dropped it down, and once you drop it down, you can get to the screws that hold the glass in place. Now you got to be careful too, because you don't want to drop the whole assembly. The glass will just sit down in there once you get it out. You just got to, be careful. Use two hands, no big deal. So I let the glass down. There's the glass there. Now the seal there, the molding, what do you want to call it? The rear channel is a bolt in, and it bolts in here. So there's two screws, one up here and one down here, that you got to get out. They're 10 millimeter. Take them out. The whole thing just pulls out. Really no big deal with the glass in place. Then this side you just pull up because it tucks down inside there. Basically you're just going to put Windex on it or some soapy water solution when I go back together, because I'm going to lay the glass in place, then I'm going to ram the seal down into it and catch the one back here, and then everything should be good. But let's continue taking this apart. I think the next step, see, I got to watch it. This thing's actually been busting this up, so I got to see if I can't get this out. And see, it actually put a dent in the quarter panel right there. So I want to get this thing out of here. Maybe I'll just cut the cable right there, because this thing's busted anyway. Now let me get a pair of snips and just cut the cable so I stop dragging it on the quarter panel while I'm doing the rest of this. All right, so I got the upper piece out where the cables go through and come up through that hinge up there. they bolt in, it bolts in, whoops, on the hinge right there. And a whole assembly inserts through here. What I did is I cut the cables because I really didn't care because they're already broken. And then I dropped the motor assembly out. And as you can see, I mean, this thing just blew apart. So they tell you to take the cables off in a certain direction and then rewind them onto the new stuff. And you know, here's the kit that I have, that with this upper piece with the two new cable ends. And they tell you to leave it in place and then wind it up a certain way, so you can wind this one up a certain way when you put it all together. And obviously I can't do that because who knows what direction anything went in, because everything blew into pieces. So what I'm going to wind up having to do is figure this out. So I got no idea how to figure it out. I'm sure I can. There are some instructions in there. I didn't read them yet. I just wanted to get it all apart. So let me continue getting this apart. I've got to get these upper pieces off that the cables run through, because I got new ones there and it comes with those new pieces up there. So let me get this further apart and figure out what I got to do. Alright, so I got this upper piece mounted in place. Now it's a little confusing to me because on the original setup, this cable, which goes to the white piece at the end, this was the cable going backwards to back there. The way this pulley setup is set up, this cable is going forward to here. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make. So the black one is facing back, the clear one is facing forward. A little bit of a pain in the neck. It's got to fit down through there. But basically now I'm going to have to close the door. And the instructions are about as clear as mud. And you know, it kind of shows what needs to be done here, but it only shows this end of the repair. It doesn't show the other end at the door, like hooking these cables up to, well, not the door, the body. So hopefully this should be relatively self-explanatory, I would assume. It'll be a pain in the neck. Now, the way these instructions look, it almost looks like you assemble this thing first and then put it in the door. But now I tried every which way from Sunday to try to get that upper piece over there, to try to get that piece to go up through the door, because if I assembled everything right here, I'd have to be able to get that piece up through the door. I had to cut the cables to separate the two because that piece will not come up through the door from what I could tell. I mean, unless there's a specific trick to doing it, I can't do it. But anyway, so now what I'm going to wind up doing is closing the door, sitting inside of it, and winding everything up and then assembling it. So let me go with that and see how I make out. All right, so I got that side assembled, and what I wound up doing is basically the cables can only go on one way. So I wrapped them 2.5 turns, and that seems to be like the right number. Nothing actually explains what it's supposed to be. So I got a 2.5 turns, and that leaves basically like a half of the cog with room for it to like move and stuff. So I'm thinking that's correct. So now I got to install this cover here, and then those two cables, you see the black and gray cable, the ends of them snap in right there. So let me get this in place, and then hopefully I can catch, at that point, I can catch the cables up top. You see the one hanging there. I can catch them where they have to go, and then I can assemble the window and everything else, and then hopefully it'll actually work. So we'll see. All right, so I got that all assembled. I got that cover on there, and it seems where I wound it up is it seems to be perfect, the 2.5 turns on each side. Now this, I realized there's a guide that's supposed to, I think it just holds a cable in place, and it's missing. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do there, because there's one on the other side, but there's not one on this side. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do there. I might just leave it alone for right now. I might try to maybe get a piece of plastic put on there, or call Toyota, see if I can just get this whole bracket. That really shouldn't be that difficult to change. Now this cable I hooked up first, and then this cable back here, if you undo the cable, I don't know if you can see it from here, let's see. You undo the cable right here, you see that right there, that's actually, you can see my finger there, that's actually, there's a slot in the bracket like this. So what you do is you unbolt this bracket, you hook the cable into it, then that slot, you put it up into that pin that's there, and then you rock it back in place, and then you can catch the bolt there and the bolt there, and that tensions up the cable. So everything seems to work okay. And right now, as you slide the door, you can actually see the cable moving correctly. So the other cable you can't see, it's hidden, but this cable you can see. And it's moving correctly and it stays taut. So I'm hoping that's going to be okay. So now I'm just going to temporarily assemble this so I could try it out and make sure it works. Alright, so I got the glass in. I put the that module piece in for the window regulator and all that other stuff, and I hooked everything up. Basically it was just easier to install the glass instead of just hanging that in there and then having to take it back apart again and put the glass in, so I figured I may as well put that in now. So anyway, got the key on. Let's go for a test run. Let me hit the button. Look at that. Will it work? Will it work? Will it work? Fingers crossed. No, ow, actually, my bad. I had this roll of tape on the roof. All right, well, that's actually good that it did that. I don't have that strip tight either, that pinch strip. Well, let's just see. No, okay, that might be because of this. It's very possible. So let me tighten that up and see what happens. All right, so now I got that strip tightened up. One thing I did too is I started it up because I've run into issues in the past where voltage creates a problem because there's just not enough voltage. So now let's hit it. Let's see. Perfect. Okay. All right. So I'm happy with that. All right, so now that took me a long time to do. But then again, I've never done one before, so I was trying to be careful with it. I would have probably taken even longer if this was a customer's car, because I would have been a little even more careful. Because, you know, being my own car, I just kind of try to buzz through things. But being with a customer's car, I actually do take more time. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work. And I remember something I saw a while back when I was researching this. People said the first time you plan on doing this, expect it to take a full day to do one door. This probably, by the time I'm done reassembling everything that's on here, I'm going to say I probably got a good solid 5 hours in this. It's a good amount of work. So I'm just going to start assembling the rest of it. You know, I got the trim pieces to put on, and I got, you know, the door panel to put on, stuff like that. But that's about it. So I'm sure when I go to do the other side, it's going to go a lot smoother than this one, because now I know how everything is supposed to go. So anyway, that's about it for now. So if you like my videos, if you're getting anything out of them, hit the like button. If you could, please subscribe. Definitely help me make more videos, better videos. So that's it for today. Have a great day. Keep wrenching.